Welcome everyone to our product launch event. We are excited to meet everyone, you, and share details about our new offering, Job Speaker Insights. So, along with me, I have my colleague Vivek. He handles the product, and we would now walk you through the session explaining our new product named JP Insights and its features. Before we go forward, I would like to inform everyone if you have any questions or queries in between the sessions, please feel free to use the chat window and we would happy to answer it. So now I pass to Vivek.
Thanks, John. We'll have a short overview of what we have been doing so far and what we are planning to do in the future. I believe most of you would be aware of job speaker in some context. Some of you would have probably used job speaker earlier. Some of you would have probably explored job speaker at some point. This is basically the agenda for the day. What our new offering job speaker insights is about, how it is different from data feeds, and we'll have a quick walkthrough of the product and go through the future plans and have a Q&A session as well. So we all know that we are in a very difficult labor market right now. Whether it's great resignation or great upgrade is still up for contention. But COVID definitely has had its effect at a very large scale across globe. And I don't think any of us have seen anything of this scale affecting uh, all aspects of our lives in our lives. So the need to understand how the market is currently behaving, how what kind of trends we are seeing is all the more important in this context. It was always important. I'll probably give you a few examples of how we saw the world changing through job speaker data. So job speaker, as you might know, we started as a data feeds provider. So we used to, or we still do, collect jobs data from across the globe, from multiple sources, from job boards, company websites, and so on and so forth. And further enrich with it with additional data points, which we can, which is usually hidden as part of text within job description, like salary, skills, etc. So we already had that as the backing. So job speaker insights is us going one level forward in terms of providing an end-to-end data visualization platform on top of the labor market data that we already collect. But we also have a few additional enrichments, which is only part of job speaker insights. So this helps you analyze the labor market in terms of geography, industry, and company-wise comparisons. Skills are also other things that is already there, but we'll talk about it a little bit in detail as we move forward. So why job speaker insights? One of the realizations of late that we had was we were processing millions of records of data on a daily basis across the globe. So it's not usually easy for a researcher to have that bandwidth to, in terms of say people, process, and technology, to analyze and make sense out of this huge set of data which is available. So job speaker insights is us moving in a direction where it's an end-to-end product where we provide the actionable insights from the data rather than you having to do the heavy lifting of processing the entire data set. The data is already enriched with multiple dimensions. So so job ads, if you know how it works, it's a very unstructured set of data. So within job description, there are tons of information that is hidden. There could be salary, education, qualification, what sort of skills is being hired for, years of experience, and such key data points that are important. And also, there is a huge missing piece in terms of understanding what sort of employers are we actually talking about. So looking at a job ad, you probably might be able to predict what department a particular job would belong to, but it's very hard to just for especially for a system, for a program to understand which type of company is hiring for, what are their information, or which industry do those employers fall into, what are their company sizes, and such meta information which is not usually present as part of jobs data. And we have a global coverage of jobs, even from places which we have ourselves never heard of. So we scan, at the moment, we do scan somewhere close to 70,000 plus websites to collect job postings data. So what is new? So three key additions to what we already had. One is the standardization of jobs as per ONET SOC 2019 standards. So 2019 is the latest standards for ONET SOC, and ONET SOC is basically the US standards for classifying occupations. So this is important because it's without a particular standardization in place, it is very difficult to understand what kind of jobs. It's very difficult to analyze the whole data set. To give you an example, say a sales role. These days are called with crazy names. There could be sales ninjas, sales managers, business development executives, and so on and so forth. So to bring them all together under one bracket is very important in terms of analyzing the data. Another aspect to ONET SOC classification is that there is a huge amount of resources that are already part of the framework, which you can always tap into once you know how to classify a job into one of those occupation standards. So that is the key point with ONET SOC. Second is the employer information. So we are now enriching all the job which we get with the industry, company size, and business type. Business type is basically whether it's a public company, private company, sole proprietorship, etc. So that gives a whole new dimension to the data to understand how the market works. And third is the education level inference, as level of education required to perform a particular job as advertised by the employer. So all the information or the insights that we currently provide are based on the data that we already collect from job postings, which again gets enriched only by the employer information is one additional dimensions that we are adding. So these are the granularity at which we currently go. So there is occupation classification, skills information, geography is again standardized. So you would not have difficulty in, say, analyzing data. Say, for example, New York would be NYC, New York City, New York. It could be named in multiple ways. So all of that is already classified and tagged according to the standard nomenclature. Industry classification is currently there. Seniority level, as in, whether it's an entry level, mid level, or executive level role. department name and experience level. So these are additional data points apart from your job title, description, salary information. That is all. That is usually anyone would be able to extract from a particular website. So currently, how we are splitting this is JobSpeaker is now uh, getting diversified into two different products. One is JobSpeaker Insights, and the other is the JobSpeaker Feeds. So how we look at this particular segmentation is JobSpeaker data feeds, which is the current or the product which we had already had, is the way to go if you are trying to build something on your own. And JobSpeaker Insights is more of a research tool where if you want to get quick insights on the labor market trends or any other aspects of the labor market, JobSpeaker Insights would be the way to go. So data feeds, we already provide jobs in JSON, CSV, XML formats, either through API or any other data sharing mechanism, whether it's through S3 uploads, FTP uploads, or any other ways in which we could share the data. And it is applicable where you're looking to build your own tools, applications, job boards, etc. And JobSpeaker Insights is a ready-to-use platform where it's more of a research tool, and there are multiple dimensions added to the data apart from what you get from the JobSpeaker data feed. I'll quickly take a couple of scenarios to walk you through JobSpeaker Insights. So these are, I hope you're still able to see my screen. John, can you please? Yeah, thanks. Okay, so so there are two key.
Vivek, your slideshow is.
Yeah, but you can still see my screen. Right? Yeah. I'll move to the other applications. So there are two key areas where JobSpeaker Insights would make sense. One is what we call big bits. So this could be in terms of, say, geo decisions like where to open your new office or new manufacturing facility, etc. Or it could be in terms of understanding which, say, for a private equity firm who is trying hard to find who are the companies which are growing at an exponentially high pace with respect to the industry standards. So job postings data could be one of the dimensions at which you can look at the market and see whether there is a disproportionate amount of growth or some level of growth within an industry or within companies. So if you're looking at, say, if a defense and space industry company is looking to start a new office for data analytics specifically, within, say, California, Washington, and Texas, where would, what does our data tell? So this is JobSpeaker Insights. So we have visualizations for almost all the types of insights that you might want. So this problem which we've taken right now is basically a geo comparison. I have already done that. So since we are talking about data science as a or data analytics facility, let's look at the data science role and see what the trends are. So California, I think it doesn't come as a surprise, that has maximum number of jobs in terms of the sheer volume of jobs in the data science segment. Company size distribution. So this would be important to understand what kind of companies are we looking at? Are there demand from smaller companies or higher companies? So in terms of your competition, what are we looking at? And this is one of the reasons why I took this example. So Texas has a few defense space companies, which the others, at least in the top 10, doesn't feature. So this is probably one indicator for us to dig deeper uh, and see whether this actually is worthwhile contender for the opening of the facility. Similarly, you have company size distribution in terms of the size of companies. So again, whether it's a small company, big company, usually it will be the larger organizations that are hiring. But California, I think, is the tech capital of US. So you see a lot of mid-sized companies and smaller companies in that segment, which is equally competing for that talent for data scientists. Education level distribution, this could be one other aspect you might have to look in terms of, say, if you're a large organization, whether you have enough universities in those cities, what are the courses in those universities, whether you have a consistent supply of talent in those regions, etc. So if you are looking for, say, specific very niche talent like a PhD or so, it may not be very easily available across all these cities. So these are some key insights in terms of median salaries. What are the so we have selected the role, so it will only show the data scientist here. Skills differences, top cities within those states. How do they plan play along? Who are you competing against? What are the companies that you are looking at, etc. So this is salary distribution. I specifically wanted to show this because this is one of the probably a drawback, because we are looking at job postings data, and especially if you look at executive level roles, it may not always be available. The job postings may not have salary information present within them. So this could be uh, one caveat in terms of, and you already by looking at the visualization understand that this is something which you'll have to take with a grain of salt. So just wanted to showcase this because there might be discrepancies like this because of the very source of data that we are looking for. So I'll move on to, okay, I'll just look at industry comparison. So I'm taking defense and government administration here just because we are looking at the defense and space segment. So do we have enough customers, or government organizations might be potential customers? So it also gives insights on what kind of companies are we looking at and what their trends are. That is one of the possible use cases. The other is just in terms of understanding the talent war itself. So again, very random example of how Walmart and Walgreens compare. It's probably not a comparison, but both of them ideally fall under the same retail segment. So within US, Walmart definitely has more number of talent requirements. In terms of education level, how different they are, and what so both companies are hiring for only entry and mid-level. Executive hires are not really happening. Top 10 cities that these companies are present, or hiring for different job roles. These are UNIT SOC job names. Different skills. So skills we'll touch upon a little later. So and the salary distribution. So this is just a quick overview of what can be done. The research questions or the kind of answers you are seeking would be very different and detailed. So the current version of Job Speaker Insight is designed to give you a starting point in terms of where to look for, and we would have additional data points and further drill downs that is possible as we seek deeper answers. So future plans, definitely we are looking at improving the current set of insights and add more deeper insights into the application. Improvement of employer and industry classification. So we do know that it is an approximation that we are doing, and there is still a lot of scope for us to improve on that dimension of data. Monthly insights on emerging role skills in companies. So currently, if you're looking at percentage changes, etc. So how is one rule or one type of skill emerging from within the market? We currently don't have a mechanism to do that. That is because for this, we'll have to do some pre-computation. It cannot be done in real time. So if you want to compare last 6 months versus last year, etc. So that will be coming up in the near future. And sorry. The other side is the grouping of skills. So our skills extraction model as of now is a generic model, as in it's a broader model which is not looking at, say, it's not keyword based basically. So it's not that we have a set of say 10,000 skills or 50,000 skills which is already classified, and we are basically looking whether this skill is mentioned within the job description. But we have a model which understands the semantics of the job description and returns what seems like a skill. So a lot of times what so there are pros and cons to it. Pro is, I'll probably give an interesting example. So around the time COVID happened, early 2020s, we saw a lot of companies having job postings with skills like companionship, adaptability, uh, collaboration, etc. And that was probably one of the top 10 skills being hired for, and it showed a lot of potential, a lot of growth in terms of the trend itself. And around early or late 2021, when I guess most of the companies restarted working from office, etc., those numbers started declining. And I wouldn't be surprised if the great resignation is affecting those companies specifically, since they might be the ones who uh, change their way of dealing with people and managing their workforce. And that sudden shift might have put off a lot of people. That's my theory looking at the data trends. But I might be wrong as well. I don't have the other side of data in terms of which companies are seeing a lot of attrition at this point. But that is one of the positives of having a broader model rather than, say, having a fixed set of skills and understanding just on those. The other side of it is definitely that you would probably need some level of grouping of skills as, say, certifications, as hard skills and soft skills, etc. So that is what we are currently working on, and that will also be featured in the product in the near future. Ability to view 100 companies and skills, I think that's in line with giving more deeper insights. Job postings duration as a metric to understand ease of hiring. So we have a module for understanding how long a job is in the market and when it is closed or when it goes out of publication. So that would probably be a key insight in terms of understanding the ease of hiring for a particular role within a particular city and industry, etc. The next one is it is currently being tested out, and or we are exploring multiple opportunities in terms of how to implement this. But as of now, we do not have the option to drill down data and run custom queries. If we can definitely do that at our end based on your project requirements. But as a self-service option, it's currently not available. But that is also something which we are working on, and which you could expect in the future. Probably not in the next quarter or in the immediate future, but probably after a quarter or so, we should be able to come up with something on those lines. And there is also an exploratory area that we are looking at in terms of cross-matching with external indicators and economic data that is already available. So ONET itself gives us a lot of opportunity and a lot of data points in terms of enriching data. But we are also exploring, say, whether we can look at the supply side of data in terms of college or university pass out university graduate numbers and attrition numbers and so on and so forth, which is already public information for most of the geographies out there. So that is a very quick, brief introduction of JobSpeaker Insights. We'd be happy to take any questions from you now.
Vivek, Halima has put up a couple of questions in the Q&A box.
Okay, let me just. Thank you for the. I don't see the question.
Below the fourth one, the last. Which is there in the answered, Vivek.
Okay, so I think there are a couple of questions here, 3-4 questions. So one is where does the data come from? Are you scraping it? Yes. So JobSpeaker is basically a product from PromptCloud, which is our parent company, and PromptCloud is into large-scale data extraction from the web. We have been around since 2009, and we do collect data from online sources by web crawling. If your question was in terms of legalities, there are legal frameworks in terms of crawling web and data reuse, and we do follow all those legalities in terms of using data. What is the referential use for employer information normalization? So employer information normalization is based on multiple data sources. So public information on companies, and we basically have a data machine learning model which tries to map companies with our reference data set, which is from the public domain. Third question is, are the skills also normalized? What type of normalizations? I think I might have already answered that question. Skills are broad at the moment. It's not normalized or grouped into specific categories, but that is definitely something which we are working on. Is cost data will be available, such as cost per click, cost per acquisition? We don't. So the question was whether cost of job postings or cost per clicks, cost per acquisition, etc. available. That is not a model that, or that is not a data point that we would know. We are not looking at the cost of hiring or cost of posting a job in particular source website. That we are largely looking at the labor data as a signal to say economic level or industry level signals, not at the level of costing and CPC, etc.
Vivek, there is a question posted by Vladimir in the chat box.
Can you just read out the question?
Do you think you will find leads after finding the insights? Example, I'm looking for the companies that are hiring the most developers in New York, and then I want to talk to the lead tech of this company by email or LinkedIn.
Thanks for the question, Vladimir. There are a few of our existing customers who use JobSpeaker data as a ways to understand where to target and probably who to target as well. But we are not a lead generation platform. So if you are a very niche player, it might make sense if the kind of skills you are offering as a company is very niche. If it is a very broad segment, so one way to look at jobs data probably would be to understand whether there is a talent requirement in a particular organization and see whether you can pitch your services. But that would need further level of enrichment if you really want to use it as a lead generation platform. But if you want to understand whether say there is a demand for the service you have in say industry A versus B or city A versus B, then JobSpeaker definitely would be helpful. But if you're looking at it as a purely lead generation platform, probably not. But you can definitely get some insights on how to go about your sales.
Another question is there any changes, improvements forthcoming to validating wages collected? While the data seems to be very accurate, there are some that seem to have misaligned data points from what gets provided. I assume it is unavoidable, but wonder if the QA process is an ongoing project.
Yes. Since our data is from the job postings itself, and it's not always that there would be a salary information associated with all the job postings. So it's not always very accurate as well what is available. But in terms of QA, there is an ongoing effort. So this goes for not just salary, it goes for the experience level as well. So these two data points are something which is continuously being worked on to improve its accuracy. And especially in terms of adding more heuristics around those data points. So at times it might return. So I think to a large extent we have addressed a lot of issues. So long back it used to return very incorrect numbers, as in there could be astronomical numbers in salary, etc., which would not make sense at any level. But we have been adding more rules around those salary and experience level inferences to improve those. But to give you a definite end date in terms of when that would be or when we would stop doing that, I doubt whether we would have a situation where we would have to stop working on improving that model. It'll always throw more curveballs as we dig deeper.
Vivek, one more question is that do you integrate with ATS so they could post jobs to job boards?
No, sorry. The short answer to it is no. We don't integrate with ATS so that they can post jobs in other. We work on the other side of things. So we are not in the job postings or job syndication or distribution kind of domain. We are rather in the job collection side of things. So understanding where jobs are posted is probably our domain rather than how jobs are posted.
Another question is that how relevant is this for Indian market? If we want to do salary trends, can we do for multiple companies? Mm-hmm. And the last question is, what is your pricing strategy?
Okay. So we do have coverage in India, quite vast coverage in India. So you should be able to perform all the analytics on the Indian market as well. Can you please repeat the second question, John?
If we want to do salary trends, can we do for multiple companies?
Yes. So as of now, we allow comparison between 5 different companies. Same goes for the geo-wise comparison and industry-wise comparison as well. So till the time we have a self-service or a model or where you can query based on your own set of parameters, we would probably have flexibility to add up to 5 different companies, cities, or industries.
And what is your pricing strategy?
Okay, so pricing strategy, as of now, we are planning of rolling this out as it is different from JobSpeaker feeds. So it is, sorry, I was getting a couple of messages, sorry. So it is different from JobSpeaker data feeds. It's a standalone product in itself. JobSpeaker Insight is a standalone product. So both of them would have different pricings. Our pricing would depend on how much historical data are you looking to analyze. So it starts from 6 months and based on the geography and your requirements, it would change. So for example, the amount of data we would have for US would be very different from what we have for, say, Australia. Those are the key components that would add to the pricing question. But at the end of the day, it would depend on your requirements and what you're trying to do.
One more question is there, are you covering GCC market, especially Saudi Arabia?
We do. We do cover GCC. There might be enough data for, I think, not just GCC, all regions for that matter. We would have enough data from at least the top sources from these countries. There would obviously be cases where we do not have specific sources covered, which is probably important for that particular geographies. But in that case, we'll have to add that as a source. But for literally any country in the world, we would have some baseline data to work with. And GCC, we definitely have quite a number of sources, if I recall correctly.
I think we have answered all the questions. Any more questions, any more queries regarding the product?
And we would be really happy to have individual conversations with any of you if you have any suggestions in terms of getting, or if you have suggestions in terms of what we need to add, whether there are issues in terms of the data itself, or if we could cross match with any other data sources which are available. So we would always be open to understanding your side of the problem and find a solution in a co-creation kind of mode. So please feel free to reach out. I think I do see a few people who I have already been in touch with in the past. Thanks a lot for joining, and as well as being part of our journey so far. I can be reached at vivek@jobspeaker.com or vivek@roundcloud.com. If it's a sales query, you can reach out to sales, and our website would also have contact us form and the chat options, etc. So, sure. John, I think if we don't have any further questions, how are we doing on time? Do we have?
Yeah, we have like 19 minutes left.
Okay. So if there are any questions, we'd be open to take it. Otherwise, I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, sure.
Someone just asked whether there's a recording available. Yes, I think it is being recorded. We will be sharing the links right after.
Okay, Vic, I think we have answered all the questions and queries. So,
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll have a good day ahead.